On this day, nobody was at home. It just so happened to be me by myself. The power went out in the entire house. But he said they had like cut up baby body parts and they had human blood. Whenever I make one of these videos, when I say these mysterious videos, you know, I kind of titled them Mysterious Such and Such. This one is a mysterious videotape. I like to, you know, let people know that I'm not doing it for entertainment purposes or nothing like that, you know. The spirit realm is real. And I like to try to, you know, remind people of that and give a heads up and a warning in some instances in relation to stuff related to the spirit realm. And with that being said, let's get into the video, the mysterious videotape. Okay, this happened when I was like middle school age. I might have been about 13 years old, something like that, give or take a year. I was down the street playing with my friends, you know, typical thing I would usually do. And I heard, you know, my friends was, you know, some of them was grouped up and it was talking about something, and it was talking about something that was funny. And I asked them, hey, what's funny? You know, I wanted to know what was funny. And one of my friends told me something that happened on this videotape. And I asked him, could I see the videotape? Because, you know, I wanted to see what was up with it. And he told me, yeah, you know, I can see the videotape. And we, you know, continued to play and everything. And at the end of the day, we forgot to make that exchange happen. And it's something that kept happening. From time to time, I would remember the videotape, right? And I would ask him, could I see the tape? He would always agree to let me see the tape, but we would always forget to make that exchange happen at the end of the day. Until one day, I was down the street playing with my friends, and I brought up the videotape. But instead of waiting till the end of the day to give it to me, he gave it to me right away. And I immediately went home to watch the tape. Now, something that stood out with hindsight in relation to this, somebody was always home at my house when I was a kid. Even my sister agreed when I was talking about this, you know. She said that she agreed that somebody used to always be home at our house. On this day, nobody was at home. It just so happened to be me by myself, right? So I immediately went to my room to put the videotape in. Now, VCR was not that popular today, right? But back in the day, that's, you know, VCR was the thing. And if you know anything about VCRs, like if you had a bad tape, sometimes what'll happen is you might put the tape in and the VCR might spit it out, or the power might go out in the VCR and you might just try again. When I put this videotape in, the power went out in the entire house. The whole house, right? So I ran to the side of the house and I hit the circuit breaker, cut everything back on, ran back inside, ran to the room, grabbed the tape, and I put it back in the VCR. And the power went out in the entire house again. So I ran to the side of the house, hit the circuit breaker, cut everything back on, ran into the house, went back in my room, grabbed the tape, and I said, I'm bringing this back down the street where I got it from. Before I can give it to the person, you know, who I got it from, I gave it to another friend of ours, and I told him to give it back to the friend, you know, whenever you see him over there. I just told him to give it back to the friend. And if memory serves me correct, I did tell him what happened with the tape at my house, right? But he ended up putting it in at his house. And all the power went out in his house. And he ended up giving it back to the friend that, you know, that gave it to me in the first place. And he put it in at his house. And all the power went out on one side of his house, and the plug stopped working on that side of the house for like a week and a half, he said, right? Now, this happened, like I said, when we was like middle school age, but we talk about it like years later, like as grown men from time to time, right? And I asked the friend who I gave the tape to first to give to the other friend, what was his thoughts about why he, you know, what you think was the deal with that tape? And he said, you know, in his opinion, he felt like God didn't want me to see that tape. And I asked the other friend who gave it to me originally, what was his thoughts in relation to that tape? And he said he felt like they had a bad spirit on that tape. And I asked him, why, what made you say, there was a bad spirit on that tape? And he told me some things about that tape that I didn't know at the time that he gave it to me, right? He said the reason why he felt like they had a bad spirit on that tape was because I think he said they had a satanic ritual on the tape. I think he called it a satanic ritual, but he said they had like cut up baby body parts and they had human blood, and the police raided this, what he called the satanic ritual. I didn't know that was on that tape, right? Something else he told me about the tape that I didn't know once we got older. He told me that tape, that other people used the tape, and it made all the power go out in their house. I didn't know that either, right? Now, once we gave it back to him, and it made the power go out in his house, he said he put it in this trunk of a car that's like this abandoned car that they just had sitting in their driveway or whatever. And that was that, right, as far as that tape. And another thing, I didn't know that wasn't his tape. I think we still don't know where the tape exactly came from. Like I said, I thought it was his. Turned out it wasn't. He said he got it from his sister, but it wasn't his sister's tape. His sister got it from a friend, and I think that's as far back as we can track where that tape come from, right? But bottom line is, it wasn't my home. Seems like it wasn't. It doesn't seem to be anybody's home. It seems like, for whatever reason, this videotape, when it was going to different homes, was causing people power to go out, right? It seems to be something supernatural, right? This seems to be something outside of the natural that was going on with this tape. And it just, it's going to different people's houses and you present it to make everybody power go out. That seemed like, some other, beyond the natural stuff to me, right? And like I say, I make this video, just to give people a reminder that, don't forget we are mind, body, and spirit. Just like we live in this natural realm where we can see, feel, hear, touch, and all that. The spirit realm is real. Satan is real. Jesus is real. But, God, Jesus, has the power. God has that power. He's almighty, all-knowing, all-powerful. So, although we live in this natural realm, and you might be used to just operating in the natural, be mindful that, spiritual things can take, what we do in the natural can have spiritual effects. And we need to be mindful of that. We need to be mindful that, the spirit realm is still real. And, we might need to even take sometimes extra precaution when it comes to certain things. You got certain things that's been so dressed up as normal that actual spiritual practices in the world that we live in, that you can be dabbling into something on the other side of the spirit realm, the darker side, or the more leaning towards the satanic side, even if it ain't dressed up as Satan on the surface, right? But it can still have some negative spiritual effects, or you can be dabbling into some negative spiritual stuff. I just say this as a reminder. I got another mysterious video that I might put out. I might even make more, but I just wanted to put this out there as a reminder to people. This is spiritual and natural. You got Satan on one side. You got God, the way through him, through Jesus, is through Jesus on the other side. Try to take precaution to make sure you tapping into the right spiritual source. See the invisible stuff.